Okay, welcome back to our channel, MegaWhale team. Thanks for tuning into another video. Today's video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. The whole focus of the video today, if you can see on the chart over here, is going to be talking about the bullish case scenario. We're not going to be talking about any downside. We're not going to be talking about the bearish case scenario. We've made it very clear. What we're talking about today is what needs to happen for us to turn bullish on the short term, what needs to happen for us to turn bullish on the macro, and can we enter a new bull market? These are the topics we're going to be discussing today in a little bit more detail, so if you're interested, make sure to stick around to the end of the video. We're going to go ahead and get started on our Bitcoin daily chart, and we're going to talk about our macro structure and our support and resistances. We can currently see Bitcoin is in a falling wedge. So for those of you who do not know, a falling wedge is when you have a declining resistance and a declining support line. And these are converging as the time moves along, meaning the distance between these supports and resistances tighten, they come closer. And this is representing a build-up of pressure within the market, eventually expecting some sort of breakout. And we do expect a break to the upside from falling wedges I think it's about 73% of the time. So there's a higher probability that we break upwards here than we break downwards. Now, downward breaks can occur, but they are less likely. So for us to be short-term bullish, what do we need to actually see? Well, first and foremost, we are in a sideways range. And we talked a lot about the sideways range in yesterday's video. So if you're interested in hearing a bit more about that, go ahead and watch the video I uploaded yesterday, the collaboration with Wolves of Crypto. We talked a lot about this sideways range. But in essence, we would need to see a break over a $32,000 trigger. And we're seeing this zone act as a pretty strong resistance throughout the entirety of the last 4 weeks. And a break and close above this level over here would allow us to retest that falling wedge. And if we break that falling wedge, we can expect a move upwards into our 36-37K zone. Now we're going to zoom back out because that 36-37K zone is a pretty significant zone on the chart, and it kind of brings us to our first point of major resistance. We're going to flip to this chart over here. You can see the Bitcoin price is kind of teetering around that uptrending support line, and this uptrending support line dates back to that COVID bottom essentially. And we're kind of bouncing around it in this sideways range, finding support, losing it, finding support, bouncing, losing it over and over and over and over, shaking a lot of people out of the market, tricking a lot of people into the market, and we haven't really made any decisive direction yet. And I've said it for weeks, until we break out of this range, whether we break the 32K zone upwards, or we break the 28K zone downwards, which I've already talked about, you should be just patient. Just wait, there's no rush. It doesn't matter if you don't buy within this range, the entries will come after. You want to get your safest, the whole goal of trading and the whole goal of investing is trying to get the safest entry that results in the highest rate of return. All right. So it's not just about rate of return. You're not just aiming for highest rate of return. You're aiming for the safest possible entry. So the lowest risk with the highest rate of return possible. Therefore, you should wait for confirmations. We're waiting for a 32K break. Upon a 32K break, we expect a retest of that declining trend line and a potential push upwards into our 36-37K zone, which we represented on this chart over here. So what happens if we break past that? So from this point over here, talking 36-37, we talked about the bearish case scenarios. We can easily get rejected from that top trend line again, move into a downwards trend and continue lower. That is definitely possible. And of course we have the FOMOC on the 16th of June. So we can see a move upwards between now and the 16th of June. There's a bit of a gap in the market here where we're allowed to move up between now and the 16th before that news comes out and kind of hammers the market. Because of course, interest rates will bring the market down again. But if we are able to break over 36-37, we can expect a move upwards to 47K. All right, so pretty large move from there. We can see this zone has acted as a pretty major support zone in the history of Bitcoin, even dating back to pre-November, December area 2021. We saw a lot of support within this range, and even pushing back over here, we've seen this range flip a support a few times, even way back in the start of 2021. And of course, our 47K is our major high over here. And if we go ahead and draw this trend line across, we can see this kind of adds or makes some sort of neckline. I'm going to go ahead and remove some of these drawings for a second, just to make it a tiny bit more clear exactly what we're looking at. And you can see that top red line here at 47K is acting as some sort of neckline for this high here and this high here. And clearing these highs will create that higher high, and we could expect that price to continue upwards. Where do I think the price will go? I'm not going to go ahead and dive right into our macro bullish predictions because we are quite far away. I think the economy is not really in a position to cultivate a scenario where we could push to ridiculous all-time highs. But if I had to theorize and go off this chart alone, this is obviously diminishing returns will make this chart invalid at some point in the future. We can expect a potential move back up to this black trend line. So best case scenario for the future of Bitcoin, we bounce over here, bullish, we push through our midline, which this midline represents, all right, the midline represents this line over here, that 47K zone. Push through that zone here. Sorry, I've just deleted my chart. Let's bring it back. Brave New Coin Liquid Index. Here we go. All right, cool. Pushing back upwards. I think a target anywhere along this black line is a great first target. What you can see here is that every time we come up and touch this trend line, we get that initial rejection. And if you've watched my previous videos, I'm going to show you again over here, initial rejection. If you've watched my previous videos, comparing Bitcoin performance to altcoin performance, you can see that the initial bottom from this point here up into this point here, Bitcoin has the majority move. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you here. Let's go ahead and bring up an altcoin index. Make it nice and detailed. We'll show you guys what I'm talking about rather than just telling you guys. In case any new viewers are here, maybe you want to figure out exactly what we're saying, we'll show you. So here's our altcoin index, all right? So let's go ahead and we'll go to the 3-day chart. Let's go ahead and find that bottom, all right? So this bottom here, moving up to here, we have date-wise, let's take a look. So we've got date-wise, we have the 8th of January. The 8th of January, where is 8th of January? Here it is. So in the time Bitcoin did, from that bottom to that top solid trend line, 927%, so over 10x, altcoins did 400. When did altcoins move? Altcoins started moving after this initial drop. So this initial retest, this trend line just dropped down, and then the entirety of the bull market after, altcoins kind of took dominance. So we can see that when Bitcoin had that initial drop down on that black trend line, altcoins only then started to rally. This is when we saw a lot of altcoins below off top go parabolic, 10x, 20x, 30x, even 40x. So if we're taking anything from history on this chart, we can expect from the bottom, Bitcoin, wherever it may be, whether it's going to be over here like we talked about today with that bullish flips, the macro flips, or whether it's going to be lower down like we've talked about in our previous videos. We've provided a lot of data to why that is a possibility. We'll briefly touch on that again at the end of the video. We can expect the move upwards to a solid black line whenever it does occur to be dominated by Bitcoin growth. So we can expect Bitcoin to be the best investment up until that point. Once Bitcoin reaches that trend line, bounces down, that is when you want to flip to altcoins and then catch that next rally up to wherever market may all-time high or top out. All right, that is how you play the market. This strategy that we just mentioned of altcoins and Bitcoin flipping has been relevant in every single cycle in history of Bitcoin chart. It's been relevant every single time, guys. Particularly in 2017, we saw a perfect example of that. Again in 2020, a perfect example of that. 2021, again, perfect example. So that is kind of how we're playing it. That is how we expect the market to play out. Of course, if we're bullish, that is what we think is going to happen. We've talked about our bullish validations. We've talked about what actually needs to occur to be macro bullish. And once again, guys, until we break over this level, we are not macro bullish. It doesn't matter if we come up to here, get rejected, we can still head down. Until we break over that level, we are not macro bullish. And that does not mean you can't be bullish on the short term. You should have macro outlook and short-term outlook. What you do on a day-to-day basis, how you trade on a day-to-day basis, is different to what your macro week-to-week, month-to-month, year-to-year plan should be. So for example, we know we're in a downtrend right now. We know we're in a sideways consolidation. We know two things. We know that if we break the 28K zone, we're heading to 24K. We talked about that. We know that if we break the 32K zone, obviously close it daily above, there's a very high chance we head up to retest that falling wedge resistance over here, 35K. If we break through that, we're heading to 36. So even though the macro trend is still bearish, regardless of what happens, we know that the short-term momentum can influence our decisions in regards to the short-term movement. And based on that short-term movement, we can apply our risk strategies, our risk management, and based on our risk tolerance, we can take advantage of those moves. So even though I'm very bearish on the macro, and I have been for since November 2021. If we do break above 32k, I will be trading as if I'm bullish on the short term, because I do expect a bullish impulse up to 36k. You're meant to trade block by block, trade from range to range to range, and then keep trading range to range until the macro flips, or the other way around, we keep shorting down until that macro bottom comes in. So guys, I hope today's video has been quite educational. I do want to, however, just mention a few things after this video. I want to talk about the DXY. I want to talk about it was Bitcoin dominance has been blowing up, so I think it's really important that we talk about that. So make sure that you stick around. We're going to go ahead and introduce Bitget first, and I highly recommend signing with Bitcoin. 0.02% trading fees. It's my primary exchange, and I'm going to go ahead and leave it down. You can go ahead and watch the video for that one now. I wanted to quickly introduce my new favorite exchange, Bitget. Bitget is a non-KYC exchange, which is particularly beneficial for members in the UK and Australia who are limited by certain trade restrictions. Bitget has 250 plus spot trading pairs, as well as 60 plus leverage trading pairs, up to 125x leverage. Sign up now in the link in the description using our referral code to get up to $153 in rewards for completing 4 separate tasks. Let's go ahead and dive back into the video. All right, let's get back into it. So Bitcoin dominance has pushed up past our major resistance, and we're touching that upper resistance. Look how perfect that is, guys. Right on that resistance line, 47.72, and we've seen huge rejections from this point in the past. And if we push up past this level, we can expect Bitcoin to rise past altcoins. Altcoins will bleed massively in the market. And I do want to mention that if we have Bitcoin dominance increasing while the total cryptocurrency market cap decreases, we can see an exacerbated effect where we see altcoins heavily bleed against Bitcoin while both of those prices are falling. So on the flip side, of course, we already know Bitcoin dominance triggers swings. If Bitcoin dominance rises a lot, goes to 50%, and total cryptocurrency market cap start flipping around, we can start to see that rising price of Bitcoin we talked about on this chart over here. We can start to see that rise while altcoins are failing, all right? And this is going to be consistent throughout the entirety of basically the trend until we hit all-time high, or until we hit this black trend line. If we're talking about the bullish case scenario, we can expect Bitcoin dominance to continue to rise up until this point here in the future. Then Bitcoin dominance will continue to fall again while altcoins get relief. We will see some sort of laddering effect or staring effect where we say Bitcoin dominance push up, drop down, push up, drop down, but it's going to continue upwards probably for the remainder of the year, I would say, if not a little bit longer, depending on how long this bottom takes to come in and move upwards to flip that bearish or a bullish invalidation or validation takes. Of course, Bitcoin dominance is pushing up, and we do have the DXY pushing up as well. We have seen a bit of a resistance on the DXY at 104 zone. Of course, we had that spinning top candle, and interest rates are rising in 8 days. We could see the DXY push back up again in the next 8 days, breaking through the 104 resistance zone. We'll send this one quite high because we will flip this high over here. We will flip this over here, and we're continuing upwards, flipping this. We could see anything from 110 maybe to 115 if that occurs. And of course, that would be catastrophic for the greater markets. It'd be incredibly damaging. It would be terrible. It really would be terrible. And I do want to go ahead and point out one thing that I just kind of noticed here, just looking at this chart, and I can't for some reason invert it, but if you go ahead and look at this pattern over here, we do have this low over here, pushing upwards, decreasing. There's a lot higher low over here. If we flip it, imagine it's inverted, and then this high and drop back down. If we take a look at Bitcoin chart, it's actually quite similar. I'm not going to say it's exact, but it is quite similar. And we can see that we do have that correlation between this high, this bearish divergence, this lower high over here, or should I say higher low, and then we have this lower low over here. And that does look quite similar to the DXY over here on the chart. I'm not saying that that means anything, just interesting to point out, because we have talked a lot about how the DXY is correlated to risk assets, and rising DXY is representative of a weakening asset market. And we already know that risk assets decrease first, and we have seen that over the last few months. This is something we talked about way back January, November, December, January area. Before anyone was mentioning it, we saw it coming, and just because we've got a pretty good understanding of the global economic situation. Of course, I have studied economics, and accounting, so I do know I have got a pretty good understanding of how money flows. Money flows in and out of different markets, obviously flowing between companies, how money flows within companies, and how that affects the greater economic environment. So anyway, guys, that being said, I do want to introduce Crypto Academy. If you're interested in learning how to trade, just like me, if you're interested in learning all my technical analysis skills, if you're interested in learning my overview of the markets, how you can chart patterns, how you can identify patterns, how you can trade, how you can implement risk management, and how you can become more profitable, this is for you. It's a 10-unit course of over 450 slides, 83 videos on a whole variety of worksheets and trading diaries and journals to help you become a better trader. Go ahead and contact us at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com. And finally, I do want to introduce my VIP channel over here on Telegram. If you're interested in joining VIP, you can see the channel over here. We do daily updates on the market. We do daily trading signals. We can see our results since February 2021. We started the VIP channel. We've had profits every single month, huge profits every single month, not even 1 month of losses, which is insane. And obviously our previous month of May, we had 29 trades and 3 losses, so 29 wins and 3 losses, a cumulative profit of over 1,000%, and there are all our winning trades and losses. And if you want more proof, you can see our trading signals are over here. This is how we give our trading signals. We don't fluff around, we don't tell you fake information, we tell you the exact entries you want to be looking to enter in, we'll tell you our exact targets, our stop losses, our possible gains and possible losses, and our risk reward ratios. We also give a chart to go along with that, and we make sure the price is either below the entry or within the entry before we give you the signal. So you don't have to worry about, the trade signal coming out and then the price is already past the entry point like 95% of these scam pump and dump groups do. We also make sure we do not trade low market cap coins. You can see, just going to look at March, most of these coins over here are well-known coins. You can trade them on Bitget and Binance. We don't trade these low market cap coins, which can easily get manipulated and pumped and up like a lot of other cryptocurrency trading groups do. So if you're interested in that, all you need to do is go to the pinned comment down below, contact me on Telegram. You can join our free Telegram channel. If you join the free Telegram channel, you can kind of scroll down somewhere over here. Let's go down to the bottom. There should be a contact area. Here, just find over here, click on here, contact at MegaWhale.